Are there any changes you would like to see to the higher education structure, like right now, the UT system, the Board of Regents?
I understand why those systems were set up. In many cases, they were set up as checks and balances. But I believe over the years that it has resulted in a lot of redundancy in our administration. I'm aware that Governor Bredesen, this is something that he is studying right now because we've got a vacancy at the Tennessee Board of Regents and at the UT system. And so I believe I know that they're going to be making some recommendations about changes that we need to make in higher education to make it more efficient, to make it more responsive to our schools. And so I really kind of want to wait and see what Governor Bredesen does come out with in that regard.
Absolutely. Well, you've also talked about the importance of agriculture and programs like Pick Tennessee products with the Tennessee economy. What do you think we need to do to continue to support our existing agricultural businesses?
Well, the Pick Tennessee Products is a great program, and we need to continue those kinds of programs. The Tennessee Agricultural Enhancement Program has been a huge key to helping farmers develop productivity out there. You know, it is funded in large part by the cigarette tax, and this year's funding was a little less than it was the previous year, but it's still millions of dollars that are available out there to help farmers become more productive. And that's the kind of programs that, you know, it's obvious they're working, and we need to continue those kind of programs.
Right. What do you think needs to be done to protect the family farm? They seem to be, one by one, falling to the wayside.
Well, we go back to what I was just talking about, the Tennessee Agricultural Enhancement Program. I think that is one of the greatest programs in the world out there in our state to really help our family farms. You know, they're helping them build barns. They're helping them be more efficient in production. Those grants have just been key in all of our rural counties. And you know, we've got agricultural farms in our urban counties like Davidson, Hamilton, and Shelby. So that's the kind of program that Tennessee really needs to continue to provide and monitor and make sure that we're spending those funds wisely. I think we are, by the way. I think we are spending them very wisely, but that's what you need in the way of leadership and the continuity of leadership you have to have in those kind of programs.
The environment's another important topic, including the conservation of public lands, improving air and water quality, certainly in parts of Tennessee, access to quality water. What are your plans in those areas? What are your thoughts?
Well, we have all heard about the ash spill TVA had over in Roane County, and there's a lot of finger pointing going around. I understand the state thought EPA was looking at it, EPA thought the state was looking at it, and the bottom line is obviously nobody was really monitoring that situation. We've got to make sure that we're not depending on others to do our job, and we've got to, as a state government, we've got to get out there and make sure. And I'm not pointing any fingers, and I don't mean it critically. It's happened, it's over with. I think everybody has learned from that experience, but it's going to be an incredibly expensive learning process because the ratepayers of TVA are the ones who are going to wind up paying for that cleanup, and that will cost all of us. We need to learn from that kind of example. We need to work with industry and not be an impediment to them, but we need to work with our large industries in this state and work with organizations like TVA and make sure that the proper standards are being met for this public safety.
Tennessee is becoming a national leader in clean energy technology.
That's great.
Something we should be very proud of. How do we continue to grow that industry?
You know, Tennessee is among the top 3 states in the country in growing clean energy jobs. It's amazing to me, you know, Oregon and Colorado and Tennessee, who would have thought? I'm so happy to be compared and be at the top of something instead of talking about being at the bottom of education. We've got Valker that has come into Chattanooga and Hemlock and Volkswagen. I'm really excited about continuing that trend in our state. We need to stay focused on recruiting those kinds of industries because, you know, it's like bees to honey. There are sort of other industries that are in that kind of mode, I think, are attracted. So we really need to keep our focus there. And we need to give Governor Bredesen and Commissioner Kisber a pat on the back for what they've accomplished in that regard. It has been phenomenal.
Just this past legislative session, there were several changes to the gun laws in Tennessee. How do you feel about the legislation that has passed? Everyone seems to have an opinion, strong one way or the other.
Well, they do have strong opinions, and in general, I'm a duck hunter, and I just don't think guns and alcohol mix. But I will say this, I was not part of that process. And I would have liked to have had some input there because I think there is a huge difference in somebody being in an Applebee's at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or being in what I call a honky-tonk at 11 o'clock at night. And I think that legislation should have reflected the differences in that. But now, when you get over to the guns and parks issue, they allowed the local option there to let people to opt out of that law. And I think that that is the kind of legislation that allows the local government, local people to decide what is appropriate and what is not. And who better to decide that than the local government, because they know who's in these parks and who's utilizing them, and they know whether or not somebody does not need to be armed or may need to be armed. I had been hiking before in areas where, frankly, I would have felt a little better if I'd had some shotgun or some kind of protection, but obviously you don't need it in a Little League park. So, but the local governments can make that decision. So I really didn't have a problem with that part of the legislation at all.
What other areas of state government do you plan to address in the first few weeks, months in office if you're elected governor?
There's no question, the next governor of this state has got to be an individual with the skills and the background to understand how to build this economy, how to create jobs, and I think most importantly, how to maintain jobs here in Tennessee. That will absolutely be my focus from day one that I'm in office. It's got to be on jobs.
Well, now you got out there and you did a lot of work for dear old Dad. Can we expect to see former Governor Ned McWherter out on the campaign trail for you?
You know, my dad will be 79 on October 15th. And I asked him what he wanted for his birthday. And he said, Mike, there is nothing you can buy me, but I'm going to buy myself a new convertible.
Great.
And I thought, why are you buying a new convertible? And he said, well, Mike, I tell you, you're going to find out when you get in this campaign that you're going to be riding in a lot of parades. And he said, you know, you get there and you never know what you're going to ride in, and sometimes they get you down in something really low, and it's hard to get in and get out of those things. So he said, I want my own parade car, and I want to know that I can sit up high. So I was over in Knoxville, and one of the reporters over there asked me about his participation, and I said, well, you know, I think he's going to be very active. He's buying his own parade car. And the headline read, McWherter to go topless in campaign.
That suits your dad to a T,
it
doesn't
does,
it?
Absolutely. I told him the story, he loved it.
Oh, that's great. So we can expect to probably see him out there, not just in the parades, but helping you out.
Oh, he's already kind of mapping out his plans for which counties. He can't move quite as fast as I do these days, but he is very methodical, and he knows where all he wants to go, and I'm sure you will see him very prominent.
Perhaps the question should be how you're going to keep him out of the governor's mansion and out of the business.
No. He's a big part of my life, and I will always want him included.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you as well. Thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thank you. This has really been a delight, and I appreciate your allowing me to come on your program.
All right. Well, if you would like more information on Mike McWherter's campaign for governor, you can log on to his website. That's MikeMcWherter.com. And if you'd like to watch this program again or review other programs in our series covering the 2010 governor's race, we have a link to those programs. It's on our website at volstate.edu/Inside Politics. We'll see you next time right here on Inside Politics.
more information about the guests on this show, please visit our website at ballstate.edu/insidepolitics.